Phone skills for your front desk. Are you dropping nachos? Are you giving your team the skills they need to succeed? I'm so honored to be talking with the awesome Sandy Pardue, Nacho sponsor, who has a course coming up on this topic, and she has delivered value for decades to our dental community on so many things. We're going to dig into phone skills today. Sandy, I know everyone knows you already, but just in case someone is popping on for the first time, orient our audience as to who you are and what you do in your daily dental life to help dentists.
Okay, Paul. Well, I have been in dentistry for a long time. I've been helping practices for 30 years this year.
Awesome.
This morning, like 1993. So I came from the dentistry background. I managed an amazing practice where people literally traveled from around the world before the internet. That was impressive. And since that time, I've been training dental teams and consulting in practices. And it's been so much fun, just changing lives. I know I've saved a few along the way as well. So I do these seminars, right? It's like I didn't do them for about 3 or 4 years. And then I kept getting all these emails and texts and bring it back. So
love that.
This one coming up next month will be the 4th one in just 8 months.
That's awesome.
They always sell out. Front office is the heart of your practice, no matter what people say. You know, Paul, I saw something the other day on Dental Town where they were talking about front deskless practices. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Somebody's doing all that work.
Right. For sure. You're doing what I've always loved about listening to you and reading you is it's a classic Nacho thing. These are the skills no one teaches dentists in dental school. Am I right?
Yeah, I've lectured at the dental school in New Orleans several times, and I was the keynote for Alumni Day. And I'm telling you, when I was done, they were following me to the car.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, what's hard about being a dentist is there are skills you learn that you can train others to do. You can train your assistant, right? You can train your dental assistant because in dental school, you did it by yourself. And now you have this wonderful person to pass you composites, but it's impossible to train someone on skills that you don't know. So where do you find front desk teams need the most help? Or dentists are saying, hey, Sandy, I'm a blank slate. We don't have any training for this. Where are they dropping some nachos, whether it's how they answer, what does your insurance cover? Do you accept new patients? Give us some of the drop nachos you see out there.
Well, what happens is I really believe, Paul, that people don't realize that dentists, they're technical, right? They're in the operatory. They don't realize all the things that need to happen up front. So answering the phone, we know about all those missed opportunities. We know that that new patient call should be 3 to 4 minutes and no longer. And that you need a skilled person, you need a live person. And these are basic things. But I like to get them really excited about their purpose and understand like what a great profession that they're in, and everybody leaves excited about their job. So you've got the missed opportunities. How about accounts receivable? You know, people tell me it's like, oh yeah, everybody pays cash. Oh, you have 0 accounts receivable balance? No. Okay, well then you have a camouflaged hole right there. You have a problem, a missed opportunity. So in the seminar, we're very deep into phone skills, missed opportunities with new patients, existing patients, that first contact. We're looking at AR, collections, treatment plan acceptance, communication, handling patient objections. I recorded phone calls for 15 years in our practice, a large practice with 5,000 patients.
That's awesome. And tell us, Sandy, I know you're going to have more next year and you have one coming up. When is the next seminar? People can reach out to us through Dental Nachos for a special deal. But tell us, you know your dentist people, and front desk, they need the details. When is it? Where is it? And what's the opportunity for Nachos to sign up still and grab one of those last spots?
Yes. Okay. It is filling up. It'll be in New Orleans on the edge of the French Quarter at the Ritz-Carlton, which means you don't have to stay there because you might have like dollar signs.
Yeah.
But you know, the benefit to the attendees is the lunch, okay? Because people like to come to New Orleans for that. So I'm taking really good care of you. It's going to be a beautiful room and you'll enjoy that. So the Ritz-Carlton on the edge of the French Quarter, September 29th.
Awesome.
And so for the Nacho group, it's going to be for you guys. If you sign up 2 people, you get the 3rd one at no charge. It'll be
awesome.
So that you register the 2 that you're paying for first, and then call us for that free one, which we're going to put the information below here. And also, you get so many things. I mean, the course pack alone is huge. It's huge. I have one right here. It's huge. I mean, it's like, and then
And
go ahead.
these are the skills, Sandy, as I just met with my awesome patient care coordinator for a lunch meeting.
Mhm.
These are the skills. I'm into this phrase. They unlock awesomeness for your practice. They unlock sanity. They unlock success. And that manual, that's something that they get to take with them, or is that
They get
something
two
that's
of these. They get two
Oh,
of these
wow.
each office, and it's a flip chart with everything you need to know to handle excuses and treatment plan acceptance. It folds up very nicely.
Can I make a request, Sandy? I want a special page in there where it says, you're a dentist or you work for a dental office. Remember, keep your crying on the inside and you're smiling on the outside, because in it's part funny, but it's also fundamentally stressful. You know, tell us a little bit about, sometimes I think the front desk team, they don't get enough credit for the stress they deal with, right? We think, oh, they're just sitting up, but I think you're a sitting duck. You got someone coming from operatory 2 who doesn't want to pay. You got a call from a new patient that asks if you take XYZ spoiled block PPO. You might have a rep coming in from the side. So these front desk team members, what are some of their stress points? Or as a practice owner, how could I support them better?
Well, first off, and I tell them this, you need to have broad shoulders. Like you need to be able, like that's number one. And they need to be able to multitask. Okay, you need to know like personality types, of course, but I think that the personality and the need to be smart. You know, I give a Wonderlic test. I like to have at least a 21 or 22 on a Wonderlic test if they're going up front. They need to be able to communicate swiftly. They move swiftly. They do. You're right, Paul. They have all these things coming at once. So they need to be able to multitask, and you don't want somebody nervous. The phone comes first. Okay, you always, like, the phone's ringing, the person calling can't see what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. And they need to be able to get off of that call. They need to be able to put that call on hold, take the next call. It's crazy. We don't give them enough credit. And, you know, I ask doctors, they complain. You see them on Facebook, you see them in your group, you see them, you know, where they're complaining about their front office, they're complaining about low production, they're complaining about low collections. Well, okay, when was the last time you trained your front office? Well, I don't know if they're going to stay. I don't know if they're going to stay. They're not doing that well. Well, okay, maybe you need to train them. Maybe that's why they're not doing well.
And what I'll share is, you know, one of my close friends, Rob Montgomery, is a dental focused attorney. We do podcasts together. When I got into brokering practices, he would say that a lot of dentists don't realize that their broker is not representing them well. And they go, a lot of dentists don't realize that your broker is an extension of you. And what they do is reflective of you. And it's the same goes for the front desk. And then you may have wonderful people up there, but if you haven't trained them to be knowledgeable, competent, I would say handle conversations about costs with care, right? These are not skills we learned in any of our schooling. So what are some, at your seminars, is there value for the dentist to be there with their front desk team member? Tell us more about that.
Oh my goodness. If you just, it's better to send them, if you can't come, like, you know, I talked to people, I had somebody, oh, my wife's going to have a baby that week. Okay, obviously you can't come. So send them. Of course, we'll take great care of them. But when the dentist comes, that's when you get things done when you get home. Now, I send them with a list of things to work on. I send them home with a packet of verbal skills. Okay, that's in addition to what I've shown you. But whenever you come with them, now you can go back, you can meet about all the systems, because everybody's always talking about systems. I was doing systems before it was the cool thing to do. Okay, I promise.
I like that.
Writing up 42 different systems. So if you want systems for your office, this seminar is filled with that. But the doctor coming shows you support your team. Right. This is how you get things implemented. That's why and I have a lot of online video training for my clients, but it's not a solution. They watch that and they're like, well, how do we implement it? Or is he going to like this? Well, I don't have time to talk to him because he's with patients. No, this live training is where it's at. I've literally trained, I don't even know. I know I've worked with over 500 practices as a client with consulting, but thousands of dental team members, and it makes a difference. And they still call me after 15 or 20 years. It
Right.
makes
Yeah. Because you change their life forever. There's skills that you learn from placing implants to talking to patients to helping your front desk team, that the ROI, which I call relationships, opportunity, and impact, not just money. The true ROI is people get changed. Now, if I can spend a few minutes with you, Sandy, stealing some of your amazing advice, I want to ask you about accounts receivable, because I own 2 dental practices. I own Dental Nachos. I own Dentist Job Connect. So I always say, if it doesn't help, it doesn't matter. Then be proud to sell help. Do implants help? Yep, I'm proud to sell them. But I will share, the most crying side I do is when my dental office accounts receivable gets out of whack. You want to know why, Sandy? Because I handcrafted that filling, right? If I sell someone a bunch of pop sockets and they don't pay me, well, yeah, I lost some money, but it wasn't my hard work handcrafted. So these dentists and maybe front desk team members, they can bond it. You're back there sweating, doing this work, and then people don't pay you. I know this could be a whole 3-hour conversation, but give us a little of your feedback on how does AR get out of whack accounts receivable, and what do you start to teach people to get it back in whack? I don't know if the opposite of out of whack is in whack, but how do you get it back in line?
Well, it starts off with this one simple thing. What comes first, the appointment or the financial arrangements?
Right.
And that is so simple. But do you know, when I ask that question in my courses, people get it wrong. You always go over the financial arrangements first.
Yeah.
But you can't take an appointment away if they tell you, I can't afford it or I can't pay. And this is also like broken appointments. Like broken appointments, where do they start? Well, they start in the treatment room, and we go through each step to that. And I mean, that's been like something I've worked on and studied for a long time, how broken appointments and finance goes together. And that's why it's important to incorporate that in your morning huddle. Like, who has an appointment that's past due? Because you know what, if you didn't confirm them and they're past due, they're not coming.
Right.
Just like looking ahead.
I
So
think what you said there was key is, and we were just talking about this in our meeting, interestingly. So we have good systems, Sandy, but sometimes we're discussing the cost, what I call too late in the game, and the patient feels surprised. And it can be very uncomfortable. And, my wife and I went to this restaurant, Vernick, for our anniversary on Saturday, and it's one of the most expensive restaurants in Philadelphia, okay? And it was a very expensive meal for 2 people. But you know what? I knew what it was going to cost because I looked online at the menu, and I could determine if I wanted to do that or not. To be sympathetic to patients, they sometimes do get surprises. And it sounds like you're encouraging these offices. Where does this cost conversation come in? They diagnose the treatment. You don't make the appointment yet. Are they having it usually at the front desk? Is the front desk calling? Is there another consult room? Tell us a little bit about that.
you could definitely, every practice is different. It depends on the capacity, and some practices don't have room to have a private place to go over treatment plans. In the perfect world, especially practices that are doing extensive work on patients, it's nice to have a place where they're brought, after the doctor goes over everything, they're brought to a treatment plan coordinator who maybe was an assistant before, who understands dentistry.
Yeah.
And can answer questions. Because what happens is, people don't realize that treatment plan presentation, if it's not done correctly, that's where these broken appointments also start. You see, so you've got to get those questions answered, because they do have them, and they can't. 7 objections. I told you, I've got a flip chart just on the objections that we learned from actual calls. There's only 7 of them. And that person's trained on that, so they can kind of sense. They might be saying they don't have money, but they're really scared,
Right, yeah.
And yeah, it's like, and then sometimes it could be 2. So this person needs to be trained for that. And so they've got their antennas up, and so they're getting the agreement of the patient, because nothing flows without the agreement, right? So they get that, and now how are we going to pay for it? You want to always get the money, right? Whether it's
I agree with you. I mean, I think money is one of the most emotional topics that stems from your childhood, that stems how your parents taught you. And I'll tell you a quick story with a team member who's here today. 12 years ago, she's doing a treatment plan with me, and it was $8,000 on an 82-year-old. And we were working on it together. And she goes, Paul, she was new, I don't know why you're doing this for this woman. She's going to be dead soon. So I just said, let's sit together and talk about it. And I said, the way I operate is that people deserve the right to chew until they leave the planet. I learned that from Ross Matter. And now she's down there 10 years later presenting $30,000 treatment plans, because sometimes you just need to take that time to train them, because maybe they came from an office where nobody spent more than $8,000. And I think that, you know, money is a very emotional topic for everybody. And
They can't be afraid to present.
yeah.
You know, number one, they can't be afraid.
I mean, I always tell, I remember from a Paul Homily lecture, and, you know, it's a cliche thing people ask for, like, what fee does it make your stomach go, oh, I don't want to talk about that fee, right? And it's very different for every person. And I think if you're training your front desk team like we are training, you got to find out that so that you have the right people presenting that. So I just think you're doing the work of the Lord G.V. Black, Sandy. That was a famous dentist, G.V. Black. And I'm so thrilled we've connected. Anything you want to leave our audience with? We have the seminar coming up in September, September 29th, right? Is that a Friday or Saturday?
That's a Friday.
Friday. Okay, we do September 29th, Friday in New Orleans. There's some spots left. You can get a deal through Dental Nachos. You can text front to 215-543-6454. You can reach out to us at Dental Nachos, put that there. But any parting words for our audience, Andy, before we wrap up?
If you want to change your practice, if you want to get your team trained where you can reach your goals, and you don't have all those headaches and as much stress, training is everything. Send them to me and I will get them trained.
I love that, Sandy. Well, I really appreciate you sharing with us, supporting us as a sponsor. And I know people are going to love this seminar. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paul.